What's up, guys? It's late and I don't know how animated I'm going to be in this video because honestly I should just go to fuck to bed, but I'm not, so here we are. If you watched my tea and thoughts video earlier, I was gonna say today, but at this point I'm uploading this video will be yesterday, so if you watched that video yesterday then you know that I was almost done with The Magician King, and if we're on Goodreads together then you know that I finished that book. I wrote a small summary of my thoughts. And I did use the star rating system. I think I've watched some people over the years say they don't like the star rating system on Goodreads, and I kind of agree with that. For the most part, I use like the stars as they are like intended on Goodreads, like, you know, didn't like it, liked it, it was okay, that kind of a thing. And I'm kind of debating if I want to keep using the star rating system. I don't know. For this book, though, if you do want to know, I gave it 1 star. I gave it a single star on Goodreads. It's not even the first book I gave a single star to on Goodreads this year, so I just have no fucks to give anymore. So before I get into spoilers and discussions, I feel that this book, I was not able to gloss over my issues with the first one. I'll try and remember to leave a link to that review, but if not, then just know that it's on my channel, and you can click on that video if you want to know my thoughts on The Magicians before you watch this video on The Magician King. The first one I was able to just brush aside my reservations. This one, not so much. I very much feel that this series, like this book particularly, just it doesn't work. And I've started The Magician's Land. Whew. Can't wait to review that one for you guys. I'm 5 chapters in and already just rolling my eyes. But to stick to the second book, couldn't gloss over the problems anymore, and I felt that new problems were presented. So overall, I can't recommend this book to anybody. I know that some people have given it really, really, really amazing reviews, and they've really enjoyed this book. I don't understand how. I just don't. I don't get it, because I feel that this book particularly exemplified all the problems. So let's just start spoiling. I'm going to talk spoilers now, so you haven't read this book, you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch this video. I want to start with my discussion on the rape of Julia Wicker. I don't even know if that's her last name in this book, but Julia's rape in this book. Okay. For the most part, not a single sex scene in The Magicians has really had an impact on me as a reader. I know that there have been a few. They've discussed, you know, hand jobs in the bathroom. It's not the first time sex has come up in this book series, but I feel that none of them have been to the level that Lev Grossman dedicated to writing Julia getting raped. And I'm not sure if that's just to convey just how terrible an act that is, but it really was just not okay to listen to. And I know that I talk about rape a lot on this channel. I know. I am here with you guys. I talked about it in my discussion once upon a time. I talked about it for my season 1 review. I talked about it for a Shadowhunters review. I've talked about it on A Little Life. I feel that this is just a thing in entertainment that just keeps happening, and I don't understand why. But I want to talk about how it happens in this book, aside from the graphic nature of the thing. Okay, you wrote it graphic, so we'd all understand how terrible it is. Fine. Valid, I guess. It still wasn't something I was there for. But to juxtapose her getting raped with having literally moments before realizing that she was happy. She was a happy person. She had been struggling for like around 5 years at this point, because it's the same time that Quentin's going to break Bill's, because this part of the book, the flashback sequences, are taking place during the events of the first book. So you would think that they should be included there, but they're included here because we already know these other characters in the story. We know where they were. So when she gets thrust into main characters thing, we need to know where she was. And so that's why we have these things, when I really could have felt that these could have been a novella or a short story collection. Like, it could have been in the first book, TBH. Like, if you were going to promote her to this level of character, then it should have been in that book. I enjoyed the scenes of the flashbacks for the most part until we got to her rape. But they could have been in the first book, and they should have been in the first book, but they weren't. So we get them here. And so you to juxtapose her having, with all the struggle and everything else that she had been going through to find happiness. That was something huge for Julia. To then literally 5 seconds later have her getting raped was just even more like the fuck. And I'm not saying like you can't have a terrible life and it's like, oh, you getting raped is like, it was just that it bothered me. It really bothered me. Wasn't here for it. But let's continue, because this isn't the only fucked up shit that happens. When they summon the god, and he, like, literally 2 seconds later, he starts killing people. Like, literally, as soon as he's summoned, he has killed somebody. And he just keeps killing people. And Julia's there, and, Asmodeus is there, and P is there, I forget his name. Percy? It's not Percy, it's similar. Is there, and they're the last 3 kind of remaining, and Julia finally is like, hey, like, what is going on? Like, we sacrificed, like, what's happening here? And then the god, Reynard, or whatever, fox trickster spirit, is like, oh, these people, they didn't sacrifice themselves. I had to take their lives. They didn't give them to me. And I'm like, bitch, you didn't give anybody a fucking chance to sacrifice shit. Like, you just came up in here and started killing people. So don't play that bullshit on me. Like, don't play that contrived bullshit with me. I'm not here for it, okay? Don't do it. It just felt like fucking sloppy writing. I don't care what kind of fucking trickster spirit this man is. To like, really that's the dialogue he has? Really that's what he has to say? And I don't know if that's like something that, like, things in mythology have said, but that really just rubbed me the wrong fucking way. And so then Julia was like, no. Then Percy, whatever his name was, like, hey, I sacrificed myself then, like, take me. And the god was like, no, you're almost dead anyway, because I almost killed you, so you don't count. And I'm just like, what do you mean? It's like not fun for you to kill him because you failed the first time? Like, and he's about to die anyway? Like, what? And so then Julia was like, okay, well, I sacrificed myself. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is really fucked up. Like, you just found your happiness and now you're about to die. And then, spoiler alert, she doesn't die, she gets raped instead. And not only does she get raped, he then takes her humanity. He takes her humanity. And you know what? It's one thing to have a victim of rape feel like she has lost something, to feel like she has been, lost her humanity, that she's not a person anymore. But to literally take it from her. What? What? And you only know that he takes it from her because it talks about how when he pulled his dick out, he pulled out more than just his dick. And then there was a scene, a chapter or 2 before, where they were in the underworld in Fillory, and the ghost couldn't see her because she had lost what made her human. And that's when you find out that not only had he raped her when she was sacrificing her life, like she was accepting being killed, and it's even though it's acknowledged as rape in the context of the book, it's still like not okay. He then not only rapes her, which he is taking something from her. She's not giving it to him, trickster god or not. But to then take her humanity on top of taking that, like, you literally just said that none of the other deaths counted because you took them and they weren't given. So I was done. I was completely all the way done with this book, and I wanted it to be over, and there was still like an hour and a half left. There was still time left on this book. And I was like, why is there time left? What could there possibly be to continue the story? And you know what? There wasn't anything. There wasn't anything. There was nothing in the story left. Like, you find out that's when she loses humanity, and then they go back, and at this point, she's no longer human. In the book, she's become a dryad. And when you look at the context of her rape, in the context of the story, it's even more fucked up because you see in the flashbacks her working towards becoming a master magician, and she is good. She is the best. She is the cream of the head witches, okay? Like, she might have gone into break bills, but she is still strong as fuck, okay? She is still there. But then after, you look at everything that you've been told about her in the present, in the now, in the other half of the story, when they're in Fillory, when she's the queen of Fillory, and how she does all this amazing magic. And then you realize, after you read the rape scene, that she's only capable of doing that because she was raped. Like, and it's dumb, because even if she hadn't been raped, she could have been doing this, okay? Like, her getting raped has nothing to do with the plot. It literally just happens, and then she gets to become this amazing magician, similarly to Alice in the first book, who was the best magician of the thing, but then she had to die. She had to die. Like, she's had to die. And now you have another female character. You have Julia being an amazing magician, unlike mediocre as Quentin over there. And then she gets raped, and then she becomes not human anymore. And then she literally goes to the far side of Fillory, where she can never come back from. Like, it's the one-way ticket. There's no coming back. It's just her and the bodyguard dude, and they're over there. And I said that there were flaws in this series, and I want to say something. That there is no antagonist. Like, there's nothing externally pushing the plot forward, because the plot doesn't really exist. It's weird. Like, this is not a fantasy book in the way that typical fantasy books are. There's there's lots of talk of quests and adventures, but nothing is really explained. Like, the talking animals are just like, hey, you should actually, no. That's not even actually what happens. What happens is at the beginning of the book, they go to this little meadow thing, and they see a clock tree, and things are being weird, and they're like, let's just go back to the castle. So they go back to the castle, and then Elliot's like, hey, this island owes us some money, like, go get that. And so they go get that, and then they're like, oh, yeah, there's a key on this other island across the way over there, but, it's not really in Fillory, but you guys can go there if you want to. And then they go there, and then they come back, and it's then that they're like, Elliot's like, oh, you guys have been gone for a year, and the talking hare was like, hey, you should go get these keys for me, it's a quest, and he was like, fine, I'll go. But there's no reason, like, there's no explanation for this happening. Like, there's nothing, there's no hints, there's no clues, there's nothing, there's no reason, until literally the quest is over and they have the keys. It's like, oh yeah, magic is dying, so that's why you need the keys for. Really? Like, 100 pages at the end of the book, that's why that's when we find out. Like, there is nothing external. There's no antagonist. There's no, like, it literally, like, he was only going on the quest because he was bored. Like, he was bored at sitting in the castle, so he was like, yeah, I'll go on the quest. Speechless. I was speechless when I realized this. Like, I don't know. I'm not a writer. I'm not. I just read books. I read them because I'm interested. I'm invested. I want to know. I want to hear the story as it's presented to me. And when that is the story that's presented to me, I'm like, how? How is this? How? Like, and what's even worse is there's no character development. These characters don't grow. They're the same characters they were in the first book. The only person who's changed is Elliot. And even Elliot, he changed to this person at the end of book 1. At the, like, when he became a High King of Fillory, like, you could, like, even before Quentin left Fillory in the first book, you could see the changes in Elliot. And he is still that person. All the character development happened in that first book. This story is completely unnecessary. And from what I've read of the third one so far, it's unnecessary too. Like, there's no reason for this story to exist. There's nothing that you gain from this other than what happened to Julia. And what happened to her doesn't need, like, it doesn't need to have happened. There's no plot point in this novel that needs to have happened, because what, like, nothing that happens in this book can only happen if Julia gets raped. None of it, nothing in this thing needs to have happened. It just happened. It serves nothing. It doesn't make anything better. It's not to understand anything. It's not a motivator thing. Like, she doesn't care about, like, I also want to say there's a lot of convenient things that happen in this book. Like, when, in the first book, when they leave Fillory, the whole group of them, Penny and Josh and Richard and Alice and Janet, because it's not Margot, and Penny, and they all leave, and they go back to the Netherlands, and they drop off their heavy winter coats, and they come back, and it's fall. Like, they don't know how long time has passed, and it's only been, like, literally maybe, like, 10 minutes together, and it went from freezing winter to fall, and seasons in Australia are unpredictable, and they can last centuries. But when Quentin and Julia leave Fillory accidentally through the key or whatever, and they come back, only a year has gone by. Like, really? Or when Quentin got shot with the arrow, I think he got stabbed with the sword, not an arrow. and he was severely bleeding out. Like, he was able to do all this amazingly strong magic, even though what little of this magic system we know that magic drains your strength, but he was doing all this crazy intense magic while he's bleeding out. And then only after he'd, gotten through all the trials and tribulations did he start to feel weak, and then it didn't matter because he had already passed all the trials and tribulations. Like, I expected too much of the series, I think. But even if I had gone in expecting a modicum, like the tiniest sliver of a normal fantasy book, I think I would still be disappointed by this book. I don't understand who would like this thing. Not only because of what happened to Julie at the end of the book, which just it totally just fucks up everything that happens in this in everything she does, because she was already a strong character. So it's this whole thing where the trickster god was like, "Oh, I'll give you what you want too," and it's like, but that's not what she wanted. Like, being the most badass magician might have been who she want, like what she wanted at the beginning, but like giving it to her then just it doesn't make sense because she wanted a place to belong. And at the end, she didn't really get that because she didn't really belong in Fillory with Quentin and Janet and Elliot. Like, that it wasn't what, like, she wanted a place. Lev Grossman. I don't understand. I'm starting to repeat myself, so I'm gonna stop it here. If you watch this whole video, thanks. Um, I know that this is long, and it means a lot that you sat here through the whole video with me. If you've read The Magician King by Lev Grossman, please leave your comments down in the comment section below. I'll see you guys again soon with another video. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful whatever time of day it is, and I'll see you guys whenever. Bye.